Every single dollar you earn, every investment you consider, is based on a promise. And what if the most successful financial crime in history was based on nothing but pure, unadulterated confidence? The man who perfected it, Charles Ponzi, once whispered from his deathbed in a Brazilian charity ward, "I went looking for trouble, and I found it." He didn't use crypto or complex derivatives. He used a loophole in a postal coupon, a ridiculous promise, and a simple lie so perfect that it still works today. You can't regulate it away because it's built into the deepest part of human nature: greed. In 1920, Ponzi promised 50% profit in just 45 days. That's the equivalent of over 400% annualized returns, while banks were paying 5% a year. It was mathematically insane, and that was exactly the point. The financial elite laughed, but the investors got rich. For 8 months, he collected the equivalent of over $200 million in today's money. But the ledger was always empty. This is the truth behind the original financial blunder and the simple mechanic that controls every major modern scam. This is the void ledger. To understand the scheme, you must first understand the man. Who was Charles Ponzi? Born Carlo Pietro Giovanni Guglielmo Tebaldo Ponzi. He was not an uneducated man. He was a university dropout who developed a profound disdain for hard work. He arrived in Boston in 1903 with only $2.50 to his name. The rest gambled away. He was not a sudden criminal. He was a small-time hustler and a charlatan who served time in Canada for forging a check and time in the US for smuggling immigrants. He was an expert at the confidence game, a master of making a handshake feel like a lifetime guarantee. By 1919, he had perfected his persona, and he was ready for his masterpiece. What did Ponzi sell? He sold a brilliant lie built on a mundane tool: the International Reply Coupon, or IRC. These were small certificates that could be bought in one country and exchanged for postage stamps in another. Following World War I, some European currencies were highly devalued. Ponzi claimed you could buy the coupons cheaply in Italy, exchange them for higher value stamps in the US, and profit from the currency difference. This is known as arbitrage, and it is perfectly legal. The genius was the promise: 50% return in 45 days, a time when standard bank returns were 5% annually. The absurdity of the returns was precisely the lure. The bigger the promise, the less people questioned it. Where did this happen? The scheme was rooted in Boston, starting small in a little office on School Street. Ponzi targeted his own community first, appealing to Italian immigrants, who often felt shut out of traditional banking and who trusted one of their own. The success of a Ponzi scheme relies on the strength of the community network. The money rolled in so fast that he expanded his company, the Securities Exchange Company, and eventually bought a controlling interest in the Hanover Trust Bank. Using his investors' money to become a banker himself, he used their own community and their own money to build his facade of legitimacy. The entire, terrifying frenzy lasted less than 8 months. December 1919, Ponzi launches the scheme. February 1920, he is pulling in thousands per day. July 1920, he is approaching $1 million per day. People were not just investing their savings, they were reinvesting their profits. This was the core engine. Ponzi wasn't buying coupons. He was simply handing new investor money back to the old investors as profit. The illusion of wealth generated more money than any legitimate business could have. The key problem: the volume of investment would have required 160 million IRCs to cover the capital, yet only 27,000 existed in circulation worldwide. It worked because of a deadly cocktail of trust and fear of missing out. People needed to believe. They needed to trust. 1. Trust by association. Ponzi was the immigrant success story who seemed to be fighting the corrupt establishment. 2. The wizard's veil. He made the IRC arbitrage sound impossibly complicated and proprietary. When you don't understand an investment, you don't question it. You trust the expert. 3. The testimonial. Early investors did get paid. This generated an unstoppable wave of word-of-mouth confidence. The victims became his best salespeople. The scheme is so simple it's shameful. It is the core concept of the void ledger. A legitimate business uses investments to create goods or services, generating real profit. Ponzi's company did none of that. Imagine the total investment as a tank. You, the new investor, deposit $1,000 into the tank. Ponzi immediately pays out $500 to the investor, who put their money in 45 days ago, claiming it is profit. The bank statement looks successful, but the void ledger shows the truth. The $500 used for the return was your $1,000. There is no external profit. The money never leaves the tank. It simply cycles back to pay the debt. The scheme is mathematically guaranteed to collapse. It's an exponential paradox. The required new investment doesn't just grow, it explodes exponentially. Ponzi had to double his investor base every 3 months just to stay solvent. But here is where everything breaks. As the money piled up, the system demanded an impossible truth. The money flow had to accelerate forever, and a single crack could bring it all down. The run began in August 1920, triggered by a Boston Post journalist, Clarence Barron, who published the truth about the impossible number of coupons. The public panicked. The lines outside Ponzi's office reversed. People who were lining up to invest were now lining up to cash out. Ponzi's total liability was nearly $7 million. His total assets were just over $4 million. The money was gone. He was arrested, charged with mail fraud, and ultimately deported back to Italy. His investors received approximately 37 cents for every dollar they put in. The physical man died in 1949, poor and disgraced. But the financial mechanism he perfected never did. It simply evolved. The Ponzi scheme is the financial cockroach of history. It survives today by wrapping itself in complex modern language. In 2008, Bernie Madoff, a respected financier, ran a $65 billion Ponzi scheme. Today, countless crypto platforms, obscure FX funds, and automated trading bots promise guaranteed, consistent returns. The red flags are always the same: high returns, guaranteed risk-free profit, and complex, proprietary strategies you are not allowed to fully understand. If the returns are overly consistent while the market fluctuates, you are likely paying Peter with Paul's money. So, what is the final verdict of the void ledger on Charles Ponzi? The scheme bears his name, but it is not a circle, it is a pyramid. At the base are the tens of thousands of new investors, whose money fuels the entire system. At the middle are the early investors, converted into the scheme's most passionate, unpaid salespeople. At the tiny, lucrative apex is the fraudster. A single greedy fraudster at the very top, balanced on an ever-widening, impossible mountain of new money at the bottom. The moment that base stops growing, the entire thing implodes, and the people at the bottom lose everything. The only variable is when. Don't be the fuel. Be the investigator. Ponzi's empire was now attracting millions, but something was rotting beneath the surface. The math didn't add up because Ponzi wasn't investing anything. The money coming in was simply paying the money going out. A perfect circle of deceit. And journalists were closing in. The truth was finally breaking through the illusion. And once the illusion cracks, money panics. Investors demanded their money back, but the vault was nearly empty. And like every Ponzi scheme, it collapsed overnight. Ponzi was arrested, his legend sealed forever. But that wasn't the end, because a new kind of Ponzi was waiting in the future. The pyramid never dies. It just changes its name